Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Mod Stars. I'm your host, Z. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And I really want to do something for the new year for the new Enthusiast. Now, last year, I did a very short video on something like this. Well, not like this, but for new and all Enthusiast, I'll leave the link in the description below. And this year, I'm going to do something a little different. This is a definitive guide on how to go about cars in general. I mean, whether you are getting a car for yourself or for somebody else, whether you're into car culture or motorsports or not. This is for those who are into cars and want to get more so into cars. This will help just about anybody in anything related to this topic of cars. Even though these principles will help you in every aspect of life, we're going to keep it on topic and just talk about cars, car culture, and motorsport. This guide will also allow you to, or require you to try new things, broaden your perspective, learn, and mature a little bit if need be. And for those who don't want to try anything new, who don't want to grow and learn, that's okay. Just understand that those things that you complain about, you might be contributing to as well. To put it plainly, you might be a part of or the problem. And to be clear, this is not me pointing fingers at anybody or putting a mirror up saying, hey, look, you're flawed. This is just me simply saying that more often than not, when we as individuals have a problem that affects us, it may have something to do with what we did or how we went about doing it. So go to the source, look in the mirror, ask yourself, what can I do differently that could have led to a better outcome? Or what could I do to prevent the issue overall? Something to think about. That being said, let's start on the guide. Step 1, pick a car, any car, as long as it is reliable. And it doesn't matter what it looks like or what it is. It's better than walking or having to depend on someone else for transportation. You get to maximize your freedom. Now, when getting a vehicle, be it for yourself or someone else, there are only 3 questions you need to ask yourself. Question number 1, can I, or the recipient, physically fit in this car? The person might be 6 feet tall or taller, and they might be looking at a first generation Mazda Miata. That's not really going to go well. Ask me how I know. They might fit better in other compact cars, like say a Mini Cooper. Believe it or not, apparently people who are 6 feet or taller can fit in them. Or what makes the most sense, just get a mid-size sedan, a full-size sedan, a mid-size or full-size pickup truck, an SUV, a van. If you have a family, can your family fit in the entire vehicle? The list goes on. What is your lifestyle like? Are you an outdoors person? Are you an athlete? Are you a construction worker or an architect? Are you just starting life and you're just being as frugal as possible? On your own anyways. Not starting life, because that would mean you're a baby. If you're starting life on your own, new to adulthood, and you don't have much money, those are things you need to ask yourself. Question 2, can I afford this vehicle? Do you have enough money, or can you save up enough money to buy the car outright? Can you afford the insurance or the maintenance of the car? If the answer to these are no, think of ways to save money on the car itself, maintenance, and insurance. If you have time and you're able, you can do some of the maintenance yourself and save money that way. If I'm not mistaken, safe drivers, especially if you want to get insurance on a vehicle, can get better deals on insurance. I don't know if that's still a thing, but if it's not, once upon a time it was. But that's okay. Question 3, is this car reliable? Now, when you're looking at a vehicle, it's always good to inspect it to the best of your abilities. Go for a test drive. Check if the lights work for the turning signals, the headlights, the tail lights, steering is good. What are the brakes like? Now, if you're not familiar with this, you can take someone with you that is more experienced. And also, another thing you can do is get the car and bring it in for a pre-purchase inspection. Now, it's money well spent regardless, because if there's anything wrong with the car, it's better to know about the issues ahead of time than be surprised down the road. If there's nothing wrong with the car, you now know there's nothing really wrong with the car. Now, if you need a checklist to do this, I have a free checklist you can download below that I made. So if you need a checklist for pre-purchase inspections or just to look at a car that you want to get, whether you want to buy it, flip it, whatever, I made a very simple checklist and you can download that below. It's very free. Free 99, as I'd like to say. Now, if the answer to any of these 3 questions are no, find out why the answer is no and come up with a solution or an alternative. Now, step 2, and this is very important. I cannot stress this enough because no one talks about it. Practice safe driving. Mind your surroundings. Do not rush yourself on the road, even when you're pressured by other drivers. They can either go around you or you can stay out of their way altogether. The goal is to have everyone get where they're going safely. Let others lash out and be immature and cowardice, as it says more about them than you. There are dangers on the road that we want to prevent, like car accidents and emergency responders on the road based on car accidents. And equally important, road rage, to the point where someone gets out of their vehicle to attack another person or another vehicle. Other than that, as long as no one's hurt, there are no accidents, and regardless of how anybody reacts to you or around you, stay focused, stay safe, and keep it moving. Now, the best places for new and all enthusiasts to go, we're going to start with the first one, and that's classic car shows. Now, what's great about classic car shows is that it's really a group of mature senior individuals. The events are simple and they're family friendly, and there's a lot of unique vehicles out there. Just great people overall. Retired individuals, military veterans, people who have been around for a while and have gone through some things. The cars are great. You have your restored vehicles, resto mod, and even custom vehicles. There are cars out there that you're familiar with, and there are cars out there that you've never seen before. You have Camaros and Mustangs and Corvettes, and then you have the De Tomaso Panteras. You had the Ford F-100s. The last time I walked by, I wasn't even at the classic car show in my city, and there was an old Yanko Camaro. Now, the first time I ever heard of Yanko was actually on Too Fast, Too Furious, but I knew based on that and my research of Yanko over the years is that those Camaros are not only unique, but they're no joke. When I think of Yanko as a company, I put it up there with companies like Lingenfelter. And if you're not familiar with either of those, when you have time, just look them up. It's really cool. And what's also great about this group of individuals is that, you can really talk to anybody as long as they're in the mood to talk. But they'll take you down memory lane. It's not far-fetched to hear that a lot of these cars are their high school cars, or their dad's car, or their grandfather's car, which means that these vehicles have been in the family longer than they have. They're nice because they keep them that way. So everybody listening out there, if you want nice things, take care of what you have and work for the rest. Now, the next environments or avenues that you could take are motorsport. And I mean 1/8 mile drag strips, 1/4 mile drag strips, autocross, and time attack events such as gridlife. For the first two options, you gain perspective on a lot of things, like what is fast and what is not, what performs consistently and what does not, what is reliable and what is not, and who is a good driver and who is not. You also learn the truth behind how some cars are advertised. Now, for example, you can take a C6, be it a Z06 or a ZR1 Corvette, and they could be stock with a drag radial and run like a 10.6 or a 10.3, but everything else in the car is stock. What you don't know is that has there been any weight taken out of the vehicle from factory? And even if there wasn't any weight taken out of the vehicle, those vehicles did not come with drag radials or slicks from the showroom or when you bought it from the dealership. Even the Hellcats, when they came out, they were claimed to run, some of the same times. But again, they didn't have the Demon at the time, so radials or slicks from factory didn't exist. It's not a stock tire, and it's not a tire, whether it's stock or not, you can't drive on a drag radial every day. There's an article that I'll leave the link in the description to below as well of a Hellcat owner who made the same comment saying that, yeah, those 10-second times are good, but it's not a real record for the stock car because a radial is not a stock tire on these cars. And guess what he ran? He ran 11s in his car. That's not an article you see much on. And I'm sure that has to do, again, with marketing. Initially, the Hellcat was marketed as the most powerful sedan. And that's fine. That does not mean it's the fastest. And over time, it has changed its marketing to, as people have said, the fastest, production sedan. aside from the plaid. And even then, it's still not accurate. But I digress. That's a conversation for another time. It just gives you perspective on what's true, or at least what's true on that day of you seeing it. Now, again, this is not to say that 11-second times are slow. They're not slow at all. 11-second times are still fast in a quarter mile to this day on a general scale. And this is my general scale. 13-second times are quick, 11-second times are fast, and 10 seconds or less is race car territory. And again, you can tell who the senior drivers are, be it heads-up drag racing or simply bracket racing, based on how consistently they perform, them and their cars. It doesn't matter if it's stock or modded or in a certain class. And if it's not a competitive environment, in other words, there's no grudge race events happening and there's no races for money involved, be it an official event or not, you can talk to people, in the lanes, say, hey, I'm new to this. Do I really need to change my tire pressure? If so, how much? What altitude is the track? Does it really affect, our power that much? The answer to that is yes. And, just questions like that. And depending on who's around, and if they're really mature individuals, yeah, they'll help you out. You may not see that as much at the drag strip as much as you would at Gridlife. Now, Gridlife is really cool for this because you'll have more other people on the grid who, whether they have your car or not, who can help you run a better lap time. Yes, there's wheel-to-wheel racing at Gridlife, but there's also time attack. And that's really it. You're competing against the clock. You're not really competing against anyone else. So you could have someone who has the same car as you that'll help you with your setup, give you some driving tips. They'll even, if you allow them to, drive your car for you while you ride along to show you the limits of your setup and the skills you need to practice or develop to get better lap times. And that's just a win-win overall, So again, I don't think there's any money involved in that one, but when money gets involved, that's when things get, funny. Fun fact, the most dominant cars I've seen at Gridlife are actually Corvettes. There's a C5, and then there's the C6, like Faraz Qatarmi in the Unlimited class. It's insane. But there's also C6 ZR1s that are a wrecking shop as well. And they generally outperform, cars like Evos, even some of the newer Supras and Audis. However, it doesn't mean they can't be beaten, at least their times. Or if they're in the wheel-to-wheel classes, it doesn't mean they themselves can't be beaten. Now, fun fact number 2, Gridlife also has the Sunday Cup, where they want to focus on affordability and fun of motorsport, and they limit this to a specific power to weight ratio class. And the most popular platform in this class is the Honda Fit. Again, it does not mean this platform cannot be beaten. Step 3, become a sponge. Learn about your vehicle, the features of it, how it drives, how it behaves based on how you drive, the maintenance schedule, common problems. Even if you can't do the work, it's good to know what needs to be done. So you take it to the mechanic to get fixed. There are smoother operations. There's a clear line of communication. And when there's people involved, communication is key in anything and everything. But you're also less likely to get ripped off by a mechanic from doing unapproved work. So it lessens the stress on both parties, and things just happen a lot smoother. It's just a waiting game at that point. Also, ask questions on anything. Educate yourself. If you can't find an answer or solution to something, then create one. There is a quote that I don't know if I made it up, but I couldn't find out who said it. So I'm not going to take credit for this, but if you want to credit me, great. They closed every window of opportunity, so I bought the building. Be creative. No one builds anything anymore. They want to cut corners and live a long life on short-term stimulus. They want the castle that's built without educating themselves on the foundation. Things take time, money, or both. You can use more of both or less of both. Either way, it's going to be used, and it's up to you to maximize your resources. An example of this is simple. The best show cars, or the cars that sell the most at auctions for the highest value, and the cars that stand out regardless of where you are in the world, they're not the most customized cars. They're not the loudest or the fastest cars. They're the cleanest cars. So learn how to detail. And there's so many things that you can learn with detailing, so many different materials and tools to use at different price points. As you go through your days developing your craft, you could find ways to get the same result or a better result in shorter time, or even do case studies and learn things, the effects of having a clean car and how, it improves the longevity of parts and components. The list goes on. You can provide a unique experience and service that no other detailing company currently has, or no detailing company that ever even existed ever will. So there's so much opportunity in that one thing being detailing that you can go into and learn and grow and create and build. The possibilities are just endless. Now, in addition to self-education, read articles and check their sources. You can find YouTube channels and other videos and check their sources. Find good YouTube channels, like hopefully ModStars is one of those for you. You can find big channels, but beware of big followings, because big followings don't necessarily mean good and helpful content. It doesn't even necessarily mean engaging content, other than the fact that it just means they get a lot of short-term attention span viewers. And I hope that I do not become a channel like this as my channel grows. If I ever do, subscribers out there, because you pay attention to my videos the most out of everybody who watches or listens to my videos, call me out, check me on it, and go back to this video, as I will, as a reminder, not to be a look at me, clickbaity type entity. No. Last but not least, be open-minded. Ignore the negative and arrogant, but respect their opinions. You can have a conversation without arguing. Those who want to argue will eventually find out that you are just trying to converse. And when they recognize this, they will ignore you simply because all they want to do is argue. Let the haters hate. Let those who make excuses make them. Let pretenders on all levels pretend. And let the trolls troll. When your environment is clean, it is easy to see who and what is dirty. And that's all I have to say for this. This is the entire guide. I hope it really helps you guys. I hope you study this. I hope you implement this. This is things that you can implement immediately after even listening to this video. Let me know what you guys think. I really like your feedback on this. Do you agree with anything that I said? Are there things that, I missed? And just to be clear, I mentioned the car show thing. I did mention, like anything, understand the environment that you're in. Can you go to a car meet? Yes, you can. But if anybody's doing takeovers or being rowdy, you should probably leave and probably not go back, because that can cause a lot of issues for everyone. Not just a safety thing. That's just the biggest thing. You can be civil regardless of who's around you. And 9 times out of 10, if you don't poke the bear, you don't have to worry about anything, so to speak. So it doesn't matter who it is or where you're at, be it lowriders, takeover, just don't go to takeovers. There's no other way to say that. I can't even justify it. Just don't go to takeovers. Lowrider shows can be cool. Just don't be arrogant. Some of them are just like the culture, and some of them live that culture. You just don't want to find out. You like cars? You like a good time? So do they. Just have fun and be cool. Again, ask questions if you're new to it. I'm sure people will be glad to educate you on what you want to learn. The craftsmanship in lowrider culture is impressive, to say the least. The paint alone, the material that's used, the customization of it all. It's literally like making custom jewelry and watches. So there's so much great things out there in the world, but in car culture, that I really want to shed light on, that a lot of people don't. And again, yes, I understand there are some stereotypes that are negative, and you can avoid those. It's okay. And if that's the environment you want to be in, that's okay. But for any general source and process to go through just a positive, productive, win-win environment, this is a guide that I believe will help everyone, new and old enthusiasts. So like, subscribe, and share. Hope you enjoyed. If you don't know, now you know, but do what you want to do.